Closing off the North Sea with a 400-meter-long dam might be the only way to save parts of Europe from a major disaster. This isn't science fiction. It's a real idea called ND, the Northern European Enclosure Dam. It's a last resort plan to protect over 25 million people across 15 European countries from rising sea levels. To build it, we'd need two massive dams, one between England and France, and another between Norway and Scotland. That means 51 billion tons of sand and a price tag of almost $600 billion. Sounds wild, but it's actually possible, except for one small catch. The scientists who came up with this life-saving idea don't actually want it built. Why? First, let's talk about the two dams. One would be 100 meters long and go 334 feet deep into the English Channel. The other would stretch 300 meters and dive over 1,000 feet into the North Sea. To make this work, we'd need an enormous amount of materials, like that 51 billion tons of sand, which is about what the whole world uses in a year. This dam would be the largest ever built, far bigger than the Netherlands' 19-meter Afsluitdijk or South Korea's 20-meter Saemangeum seawall. In fact, ND would be 19 times larger than Saemangeum. It sounds insane, but it's not impossible. Humans have built huge structures before. Oil rigs, for instance, operate in waters as deep as 6,500 feet, much deeper than the 1,000 feet needed for this dam. And China's Danyang-Kunshan Bridge stretches 102 miles, while NED would only be 4 times longer. Similar massive water projects have been done before, like the Netherlands' own Afsluitdijk, which was built almost a century ago to shut off part of the North Sea and protect the country from floods. That effort even drained a lake and created a whole new province called Flevoland. Today, the Netherlands has over 2,200 miles of flood defenses, but they were designed for just a 15-inch sea level rise. Without them, most of the country would be underwater. So yes, building NED is possible, but extremely expensive, around $550 billion if finished in 20 years. Delay it and costs could rise even more, but the money could be spread out over time. And if the 15 countries that benefit all chip in, the cost would be less than 0.1% of their combined GDP. Not bad for saving millions of lives, right? But here's the real question. Is it truly necessary? Sadly, yes. Humanity has pushed the ocean to the edge. By the year 2100, sea levels are expected to rise by 1 to 2 feet. If we don't change our ways, that could rise to over 16 feet by 2300. And this isn't just a far-off warning. NASA has already confirmed sea levels rose more than expected in 2024. Disaster is creeping up fast. So why is this happening? Let's revisit some basic geography. First, land can sink. The city of Norfolk, Virginia, for example, was built in a giant crater, and erosion there is causing the land to sink. Soil compaction also plays a role. In California, tectonic plate movement is causing some land to rise and other areas to fall, triggering flooding. Then there's thermal expansion, a fancy term meaning that as water heats up, it expands. That's responsible for half of sea level rise. Every time the global temperature rises by 33.8 degrees Celsius, the ocean level can go up by nearly 10 feet. Since 1880, the sea has already risen more than 8 inches. So problem solved if we build NED, right? Not exactly. Such a massive dam would come with serious side effects. For one, ocean currents, which work like underwater highways moving nutrients and animals, could be disrupted. That would hurt marine life inside and outside the dam area. These currents also affect climate. The Gulf Stream, for instance, carries warm water from Mexico to Europe, keeping northwestern Europe mild. Interrupting it could make parts of Europe much colder. Also, the North Sea would turn into a giant freshwater lake, since the saltwater inflow would be blocked. Rivers would continue feeding fresh water into the basin, and over time, the sea would become less salty. This change, called desalination, is deadly for sea life. Saltwater creatures would start absorbing too much water, causing their cells to swell and possibly die. Another problem? Oxygen flow in the ocean. Normally, surface water sinks and carries oxygen to the ocean depths, keeping deep sea life alive. Without this movement, oxygen would run out and toxic bacteria could take over, just like what happened 250 million years ago, leading to a mass extinction of marine life. And let's not forget, Europe's fishing industry could collapse. Major ports like Rotterdam, Antwerp, and Hamburg would be stuck behind the dam. Even if we build special gates, the traffic jams would be massive. Rain patterns would change too, affecting farming and food production. But what if we do nothing? If sea levels rise unchecked, entire countries could vanish. 3 million people in the Pacific Islands could lose their homes by the end of this century. The Maldives might lose 77% of its land. Cities like Jakarta, Lagos, and parts of Bangladesh would go underwater. Storms would get more destructive, flooding power plants, sewage systems, and farmland. Salt water could pollute drinking water. And it's not just Asia and Europe. Philadelphia is already working on plans to deal with rising seas. This is why the scientists who proposed NED don't want it to be built. They know the damage it could cause, and they designed this huge dam idea not to encourage construction, but as a warning. It's their way of shouting, "Stop ignoring the planet." If we don't act now, we'll end up building massive dams just to stop our cities from becoming Atlantis 2.0. And let's be honest, no one wants to live in a future that feels like a dark reboot of The Little Mermaid. That's it for today. If you learned something new, hit like and share this video. And if you want more, check out these other ones and stay curious.